Wilson Morales from Black Film TV talking to Purge and Lawrence regarding their film, The Accused. How's it going, folks?
Good, how are
Good,
you?
man. Good.
Lawrence, I just finished watching you on TV, on the East Coast.
Okay.
How do you find time to do these projects? What's made you say yes to this one?
Well, we were shooting it right during my hiatus from Bold and the Beautiful. So we get July off. We were shooting in July. I might have messed up the shooting schedule a little bit because
Yeah.
to do it. But yeah, just, you find pockets of time, and this one was perfect.
hmm And Paige, what was it about the script? Was it the script, the people involved, the time frame which you can do it? What led you to say yes?
What made me say yes was the action, the fighting. I had been boxing for a little bit, and I had told myself that I wanted to start getting into the action world, and I was getting really good at boxing, and I just wanted to like fight. And so when I read it, I was like, "Oh, this is perfect because I get to do all of that in this film."
Obviously, BT has these knack for doing these thrillers and so forth. But I always say that whenever you take on a role, it's got to be a little bit of yourselves and the characters you play. So, how would you best describe you playing the character you're playing, and what is it about that character that you can relate with, Lawrence?
Hmm.
It's a good question. I think Lance has a warmth and an empathy, and I kind of connect to that. I feel like usually you see detectives on TV and they're like hard and aggressive, but when I was doing my research, they're friendly. They want you to feel comfortable being honest to get a confession. So I kind of like felt like I had that quality in me, like the warmth and the empathy, the caring about someone. So that felt pretty easy to connect to.
Mhm. Paige?
For me, I liked Danny's resilience. I feel like that was definitely something that I have. And also her, she starts out one way. And I think most people see me very composed, which I always am. But like, I also have that side of me, like, okay, if you have to bring it out of me, you will see it. So I definitely feel like Danny and I are the same in that, right? And she fought, and that's also what I can do too. So all the things.
Now, do you take stock in the characters you're playing? Like Danny's, like I forgot what kind of what's her occupation?
A plant
A
geneticist.
plant geneticist. They like. Do you even do research into that? So that when somebody asks you what's it about, you know what you're talking about.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Like plant geneticists, like I was homeschooled and I've been acting my whole life. So there's some things that I really do have to like research. And so I had to definitely do that to know exactly what she did, what she was studying. I think at some point on set, it took me a while to get geneticist down and like to be able to flow it out of my mouth and say it easy like that. So yeah, you definitely have to do research on those types of things, especially because I haven't played a role like this before.
Mhm. And Lawrence, you're certainly not a cop on TV. You played the opposite of that. But when you're playing a cop, do you now take stock into what they go through, even though this is a fictional story?
Absolutely. When I was doing research about detectives, they all kept saying they feel like they owe it to the families to solve the murder,
Mhm.
right? So for them, it's about seeking justice and giving someone a voice who's no longer here. And that really hit me. And I feel Lance is the good cop in this corrupted police precinct. So I felt the responsibility of what wearing the badge should feel like, I
Mhm,
think.
mhm.
When you do these type of movies, are you a fan of the genre? Do you stay, I'm sure everybody's busy, but do you find time to watch any of these genres because, they're fun to watch?
I think
Anyone?
so.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this
no, I think
action's my
so.
jam.
Hmm. It depends
You
for me. Like, it has to be really interesting. I'm not like, I don't watch every action film, but yeah, like the ones that have good stories behind them and not just the fighting. Yeah, no, for sure. You definitely become fans in that, right?
Mhm. And then, when you're working on, you guys have done work. Obviously, Lawrence, you're on TV every day, but when you're working on different projects with a different cast, different director, is there anything that you got out of working on this project that helps you skill set wise as actors moving forward to whatever project you may do next? Whether you go back on set on Bold or whether you do another project.
Hmm.
It's not a stump question. Is
Let
there
you
anything
answer
you picked
first,
up?
Paige. I'm trying to think.
Me? I mean, I think when you go on any projects, especially, the ones like, me and Lawrence have been talking about kind of like the hustle bustle of these and like the timing that we have, you definitely learn how to pace yourself, give yourself the rest, the time. You learn a lot of things from a lot of people on set. Ultimately you make great relationships and friendships. Like I made a great friendship with Lawrence and his family and stuff like that. So I mean, you can take away a lot of things. And for me, like I've been doing this since I was a kid. So I feel like I always just learn something new just to add to my like wisdom. I just want to be wise the next time I go on the next set and know exactly how to present myself and how to carry myself and how to deal with, the times where we came in and we were exhausted and all those things. So yeah, you could definitely take a lot of different things from each set that you work on and the people you work with too. We had a lot of good conversations, a lot of good
Yeah.
conversation.
And I would say that's where a lot of my learning on this specific film came from. Paige is an amazing number one on the call sheet. And she's had so much experience doing different kinds of projects. So I would just ask her a lot of questions because, I've been working in this specific medium for a while, but I haven't done as much out of it. And we talked about boundaries and expectations. And, I walked away from the project like she boosted my confidence level, I'll say. I definitely walked away stronger than I was when I came in. Thank you, Paige.
Here's one thing I want to say. Paige started off talking about, she talked boxing, she wanted to fight, stuff like that. And earlier this week, we see Carter on Bold fighting with Sean's character. And I'm like, was that
Yeah.
before or afterwards? Did you learn some skills from Paige as far as how to fight? Because, you took a little beating on the show.
Well, I didn't learn her skills because I got a beating. So that was afterwards. And I'll say I felt way more comfortable doing it on Bold after having weeks on the accused. Before the accused, I haven't had a fight scene in a while. So yeah. But I didn't learn her skills because Carter didn't do too well in the fight.
This movie's coming out, and I always say there's always a lot of projects out there, whether it's on streaming or in theaters. There's a glut of projects. That's great. Everybody's working, they're eating. What's going to get an audience to watch The Accused?
Ooh. Lawrence, you got that one. You gave me the last hard one. So it's on you.
I think The Accused, it does many things, right? It gives you that action thriller that we know works because we've seen it before, but it also jumps into the Black experience. We talk about police corruption. We talk about corrupt, like big pharma taking over smaller companies. You have these two heroes who are involved in organizations that are negative, but they're not really aware of it until it's too late. They kind of have to band together to take down corruption, the underdog story. So it has a mix of everything. And you get to see us in it and us leading it. We're not just the supporting characters or the best friend or the villain. We are the heroes of the story, which I think is pretty unique.
Paige, how much of the stunts are you? Or is it a stunt double?
I can't even lie. I'm not that much, not that much. But what I did get to do was really, really fun. And our stunt doubles were amazing. Mine, she was incredible. Like when you watch this movie, she's so badass and she's just amazing. And she was very patient with me because I definitely really wanted to get in there bad. And so she would take the time to kind of walk me through some steps so I can have those moments where I'm like, this is what I want to do. This is why I took this role. But she's incredible. And I just have to, pay homage to her because she was awesome.
Hey, I think audience is going to get a kick, not only just seeing you back on the screen, but to see Lawrence got a side job. Wait, they let him go for a day or two, to
They
make a
did.
movie.
They did.
Carter's on TV all the time. At what point did he get a break?
Yeah, that.
So you made it work. Congrats on the road. Congrats on the film. Hopefully I'll see you down the road. If not on TV every day, but on another project page, I'm sure we'll see you something else. We'll just got to wait for the press release. So have yourselves a great day. Have fun. Take care.
Thank
Thank you, Wilson.
you.
Bye.